I don't care what kind of business you're in, you can change the game.
Today we have Matt Ward, the founder and CEO of Breakthrough Champion and serious bacon lover. Welcome, Matt.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it, Brian.
It's good to have you on. Can you tell us a bit about your business, Matt?
Yeah, absolutely. So I am a professional speaker, an author, and a word of mouth referral consultant. And so, what is that? I help people build better relationships and care about other people more so that they get referrals in their business, service based businesses specifically.
Yeah, fantastic. And how did you get started in that?
Well, so I owned a digital marketing agency for 16 years. And
Wow.
I in 2018 I sold that to someone I met in a networking group for over $1 million, and I walked away. And when I looked back on what I had done at that digital marketing agency, I realized that the last 4 years that I owned it, not a single new client came from other than referrals. And so I'm like, well, how
Wow.
did I do that? And so I just kind of looked at what I did, I unpacked it, and then I wrote my first book called More Word of Mouth Referrals, Lifelong Customers and Raving Fans, and it was all the tips and tricks and hacks to build better relationships. And that's really how I got into it. Is the speaking part is just something that I got into through um, trying to build the business early on. But then when I sold the business, I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to have this other brand. I'm not going to be the agency anymore. I'm going to be me. And now I'm going to go speak. But what am I going to speak about? What do I have experience in? I didn't really want to speak about digital marketing stuff because there were a lot of speakers out there that were doing that. Instead, I wanted to speak specifically about a tactic that a business could use to be better. And that's why I chose referrals.
Yeah, I love that. And it's not done very well in a lot of businesses. And what like could you unpack some of, I
Yeah.
guess, the secrets or tips or like
Yeah, well,
just
the
a
worst
handful
thing,
of
the
things?
first thing that people do all wrong is they ask for referrals, and that's just gross. So I believe firmly you should never ask for referrals because it makes you look desperate, right? And only two things happen when you ask somebody to refer a referral. The first answer is they say, "Oh yeah, yeah, I know someone," and then you never hear back, right? Or they give you the name of the person, and that person has no idea that you're calling and is not even a referral because I define a referral as somebody who's ready, willing, and able to buy, and they just
Yeah.
gave you a lead at best. And so it never works, and it also comes across as begging, like desperation. And so I just don't think people. The other issue in referrals is people are going after referrals from clients, and that never works because clients don't want to share you. They won't tell you that, but they don't want to share you. If they are using your service, they want you available when they reach out to you. And so they don't refer you for that reason and because they're not in a position to refer you. So when are they talking to another business owner that needs your service? Unlikely. Instead, people are focused on clients for referrals. They should be focused on what I call centers of influence or referral sources, the people who are in a position to refer you all the time. So in the web agency world, it was computer repair people and managed service providers. So they were always talking to the right decision maker that could refer websites, and they didn't do websites. So it was perfect fit. We didn't fix computers, so we would refer them. And so I just went and found me 35 of those people and built better relationships with them.
And the business just took care of itself from that point onwards.
Yeah, it took care of itself so much so that I only work 3 days a week at the end.
Ah, that's
Like, isn't
fantastic.
that the type of business you want? That it can create basically mailbox money for you. It runs itself. You have great people in place. They're doing their job, and ultimately, you're driving at something. So the biggest problem I have found is that most business owners leave the corporate world because they want three things: more money, more time, and more freedom. And they don't get any of those three things in the first 5 years.
Mm.
And so when the business has a stranglehold on you as a business owner, it's a disaster. It's not what you wanted. It's not fun. It's painful, it's stressful, and that's why the burnout rate is so high.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, Matt, could you give us a couple of examples of where you saw, like obviously referrals is really key to this. What are those growth levers that gave you kind of the most dramatic growth for your business?
So, I mean, I think it's really about dialing into your target market and understanding who you sell to. One of the best things I heard, and I heard this too late in my design business. I heard it more as a professional speaker from one of my content coaches and communication coaches. Her name is Tamsin Webster, and she said you got to know who you're for and who's for you. And when
Hmm.
you start digging into that and not caring about like trying to sell to everybody because you have everything, that doesn't because when what then what are you known for, right? So you're the jack of all trade and master of none, and that's not a reputation most people want. And so I think I think that when you dial into a very specific target market, i.e., I have a website company, I build websites primarily for attorneys and lawyers. Okay, now I know where to go to get clients. And so that's a
Mm,
big problem in businesses because they try to cover too many industries at once,
mm.
and I think that becomes a problem, and they can't get referrals, and they struggle with sales, and they struggle with growth. They try to go to another industry and that doesn't work. And so just double down. I mean, that's what worked for me in the web agency.
Yeah, I love it. And so, Matt, what had to change in you, I guess, from a mindset perspective that took you from, like those early years, the startup, that kind of thing, through to, I guess, having sold, the web
Mhm.
business and now being a successful speaker, an author, what had to change in you from a mindset to make that happen?
I think the biggest thing, and I've heard this from a lot of professionals, is this whole inner critic, but this idea that I belong, that I'm successful, that I believe in myself, that I am confident in what I can do and deliver. And it- there's a big difference between being confident and being cocky, right? And I think people are attracted to confidence because they know that you can deliver, but they're not attracted to people that are cocky. In fact, they run from them. It's like a repellent. And so, what changed for me was in 1 week, sometime in the mid, you know, 2000, I'm going to say 13, 14 timeframe, is in the same week, two different people in two completely different settings told me that they thought that I was successful. And when that moment happened, Ryan, that's when I started to believe that I was truly a success. You see, it's difficult for it was difficult for me to believe that I was successful, primarily because I'm the youngest of three boys, the first to graduate high school, and the only one not to go to prison. I
Wow.
don't have a college degree. In fact, I went to college for 2 semesters and failed broccoli and cheese sauce class. Right? So for
I love it.
me, it's believing in ourselves and having the confidence that we can make things work. That is a powerful thing. And if people can transition out of this self doubt, self limiting belief mindset, I don't care what
Mm,
kind of business you're in, you can change the game. You
mm,
can change the world. You can move people to take action.
mm.
And you can build a business that is super successful yourself.
Yeah, that is so good. And so, Matt, what have you found has been the most challenging part of growing your business? Has it been overcoming that mindset, or has it been other things as well, kind of combined?
I think the biggest challenge is that I have high expectations for myself, and that when it comes to staffing and team members, I can't have the same expectations for them. Everybody looks at things differently. And so if you're going to build a team, you have to be a great leader, but you can't expect everybody to do the things you would do as you would do them. And that's one thing I talk to my clients all the time about is that nobody's going to do it as good as you. In fact, in some cases, they're going to do it better. Right? Many people don't realize that when the business owner steps away from the business actually makes more money. And that's because they're micromanaging every little thing. They're getting into the weeds and they shouldn't be. Right? Let you hired people, let them do their job, don't micromanage them. And it took me a while to learn that. And now, when I get help, when I get support from virtual assistants and things like that, I give them tasks and I just let them go. I expect them to do the work and then come back. And if it's not right, I have this policy of trust but verify. And so I just correct it in a way that I think is appropriate so that they can do it better next time. And then I just keep training them. And then I don't have to worry. After about 3 months, I don't have to worry about it, Ryan. And that's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it is, and that's yeah. You're totally right. Like our natural inclination as entrepreneurs is to try and control everything and hang on to everything. But really, the best way is like you said, to trust and verify. That's
Mhm.
phenomenal. So, Matt, what advice would you give to a business owner or CEO who really wants to break through to their next level?
You know, one of the things that I did that helped me was this whole idea of surrounding yourself with great people and getting involved in masterminds and peer groups. Those things are things that I have participated in. They are not things that I run, that I provide as a service. The things that I believe in that helped me. In my newest book, I actually talk about getting accountability partners, getting coaches, getting people to hold you accountable for the things you're doing. And peer advisory groups are one way to do that. There's a lot of types of them out there, but you can be incredibly successful. I was involved in one when the economy turned sour in 2008 with my agency. And some
Mm,
advice that I
wow.
received in that peer advisory group literally kept me in business. And that, I mean, obviously, I had to implement it, I had to make the decision, but just the advice, the ideas, I would have never got them somewhere else, and I probably would have gone out of business and probably gone bankrupt.
Wow. Yeah, I know having the external advisory can be so important. So Matt, if you could go back 5 years and give your slightly younger self a bit of advice, what would that be?
Buy Tesla, buy Tesla stock. I don't know. I mean, the thing is, like, how do you prevent a pandemic? How do you position yourself? Like, I was going into the speaking world in which all in-person conferences just suspended, all flights suspended, borders suspended. Maybe I would have done it sooner, but I don't know that I would have. Maybe I would have held on to the agency longer. I'm not sure I would have. Um, I don't I don't know that I would have changed much. Um, I think if there's one thing I like to read. I like to read fiction and nonfiction books, business books. But I don't do it enough. And I think if I was to go back, I would actually be still more often and
Mm,
just think
yeah,
and just think about life and everything else.
yeah, I love that. Yeah, so good. And finally, Matt, who can you best help? But if they want to get in touch, how can they reach out?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love helping service-based businesses, the people that need to build a relationship to make a sale. That's my expertise. And they can reach out to me. MattWardSpeaks.com is my website. Also, the book, The High Five Effect: How to Do Business with People Who Bring You Joy, is at high5effect.com. That's all spelled out. And so, pretty much can find me there or on any social channel at Matt Ward Speaks.
Ah, that is great. Matt, thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate the value that you've been able to bring.
Yeah, Ryan, thank you so much. As I always love to say at the end of every video I do, don't forget to live happy, smile a lot, and high five
I
everyone
love
around
it. Thanks, Matt. Take care.